Dude, did you know you can subscribe to onlywrestlers.com and keep in touch with your favorite wrestlers? The party never has to end.
One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
This week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitz, and you can get 15% off your order when you head to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. Get 15% off.
Rob Van Dam! Rob Van Dam! Rob Van Dam!
I'm Rob Van Dam. The whole show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Don, and we got a whole crew here yet again to celebrate Sabu. And we got Mr. Tommy Dreamer in the house. Tommy, how are you?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good to see you, brother.
Excellent. Dude, did you enjoy our 15-minute opening?
Dude, I loved it. Honestly, like watching that, and I was just like, God, Sabu was, he was a god, but like so innovative. And you forget how many moves like he created and like not even like went back to even just the simple springboard while the guy is seated and a leg lariat, just so unique and different. Like you forget, like, and I've been telling everybody, you know, like we covered this on Busted Open. I did something on Jericho's podcast. I didn't want to do any more, but until you hit me up, I was there, of course, for you. But like the people don't understand how the business was pretty much lame. And then here came this guy named Sabu. And besides the tables, his like offense and the way he like was just like, it was poetry in motion, but also with violence. And he was just so unique. And like I said, there's very few people that change the game that you are in. And he was a game changer. Like the 90s became different because of Sabu, like really and truly. Like, and then I just watching all these clips and I'm like even I remember like the first time I saw somebody jump from the second rope to do a Rana while the guy was sitting on the turnbuckle was Sabu. Yeah. And I was just like, holy like you forget so much stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who the hell's in the ring with him right now there, by the way? I don't even know. I don't recognize that at all.
Working in the ring behind you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's in front of me in a mirror and behind me. So much in the same thing, but
yeah.
I don't even recognize the apron or
Katie Forbes.
Oh, it's TNA.
Katie, it's Katie.
Wow. But yeah, man. When Sabu and I were training, it was all about doing things that we thought were fun or would look cool if we saw them, but we had to sneak it in, you know, when the Sheik wasn't there. And when Sheik was there, everything that he taught me, I don't think anybody knows anymore. Like the foundation, the trying to win, the state of mind that everyone's watching you and you're trying to with everything you do, it has purpose to further your agenda. Like I think they skip that part now and just go straight to the Hurricane Ranas.
Yeah. Funny when somebody posted a match that I never saw of you and him when you were both starting out. And I'm like, they were so good back then, but also stiffing the crap. Well, more so you stiffing him. But like, he's like, when I talk about toughness, I mean, he was super tough. I also think like there was the uniqueness, like, without Sabu, ECW couldn't have existed because, you had a hodgepodge of guys who were like coming in. It was like a super indie, but like Sabu was the first homegrown ECW guy that Paul used as like, that was his John Cena. That was his staple for the company because he had Shane Douglas. He had Terry Funk, who helped give us credibility, but Sabu was like this unique guy who rose to the main event quick because of how talented he was. But that match that I saw the two of you, I was like, oh my God. But it's like, again, you don't know better until you're out there doing it. It was also like really innovative for its time. And like also like we've talked about Sabu, and I mean, I know you've been there. Sabu would purposely mess up spots so the fans would chant, "You fucked up," and he'd turn to me and he'd be like, "We got them. They're marks." And I'd be like laughing, and then as soon as I laugh, he'd drop a leg on me like super quick because he served like it showed an opportunity to win. Or even when he'd cover you, he'd hook your arm in like an arm bar and press down on you, and I'd kick out and be like, "Get the fuck off me." And he'd be like, "I want to win. Fuck you." I was like, "You're going over anyway." And he's like, "I don't want to be in the ring long."
So Tommy, he popped you pretty good in the ring a good amount of times when you guys were working together. Sabu.
Oh, dude, I told the story, and it's one of my grossest and funnest. It was Rob and Sabu, 4th of July, Trenton, New Jersey. They do their entrance. This guy gets this
outdoor show.
Yep. This guy gets this pickup truck. It's like our version of the Great American Bash. Beulah's with me. I hit my pose. Sandman's hitting his pose, and he drives a pickup truck right to the ring. And Sabu, and Sandman's music's playing, and Sabu's like, "Get in the ring. Oh my God, get in the ring." And he's like, hurry up. And like Rob's doing his thing in Rob World. And Sabu's like, "Oh my God, I gotta take a shit. Oh my God, I gotta shit." And he's like, "Hurry up. Fuck you, Dreamer, get in the ring. Fuck you, Sandman." Right? Sandman's doing his whole thing. And then in the best moment ever, he drops to his knees, points up, and like his lower body is shaking. And he goes, "Never mind." So, and then Rob looks at him, and Sabu's laughing. He's like, "I just shit my pants." And dude, there was shit and he wore the baggy pants. And a lot of people, if you like early Sabu, like he would tape his lower parts of his gear, like his pants where his boots were, and he would tie his the thing around his waist really tight, so it's in there.
It's not going anywhere.
And the match hasn't even started. And like I'm literally at the time, I mean, I'm with my boys, and it stinks. And even Fozzie's on the floor. He's like, "Oh, Daddy, it's horrible. It's outdoors."
Yeah.
And like I'm taking head scissors, Rana's, jumping off of he jumped off of Rob's back, and like every other move is like, "Watch the shit. Watch the shit. Sorry, watch the shit." Rob's laughing, and then Rob like does his spinny leg drop and goes, "No shit, boom." And then I had to go through 2 tables, and like Sabu would do the leg drop, Rob does the splash, and he's like, "Sorry." I kicked out so quickly because I was pinned with a bunch of shit. I took a fucking Frankenstein with covered in shit. It's an awesome match.
Oh man!
And we didn't listen. The other part, we didn't half-ass it. We probably went our usual 20-something minutes of at that time doing that. But it was just again, and then we just go in the back and like we laugh our asses off of it. Because I think that day, Balls was fishing and like they were eating like fish that they caught, like clams and mussels, and Bam Bam Bigelow brought stuff, and like Sabu had to just. And it was an outdoor show. It was just another one of those awesome Sabu moments that I've never forgotten. But people like, "Oh man, like that person shit their pants." I was like, "Let me tell you a story."
Yeah, that was a fun night. And something else that sticks out in my mind about that night was that somebody brought beer. We were dressing on the bleachers. And Sabu had his clique over on these bleachers, like on a baseball diamond outside, and we're dressing and changing there. That's our hangout area. And Pee Wee, the referee, was running his mouth, and he was talking like he always did, and he was saying, "Oh no, but like I would win a foot race, like you're not like real athletes just because you wrestle. Pee Wee, there's no fucking way you would beat me in a foot race. You're a referee. You don't do shit." We would always get into these things, these debates. And I remember this. It was like after the match, and I had, I don't know, I think maybe like 4 beers, and my stomach was kind of bloated. I was like, "Fuck you, man. I'll still beat you." We did a race, 200 yards, like the goalpost and then down there, and then back to the beginning goalpost, and I ran with him the first half, just working him, and then I turned it into a sprint and went, "Meow." and then of course every time I would beat him, which was every time we would argue about anything, he would say, "Oh, well, yeah, but that's just different. Like, no other wrestler would be able to do that. You're, that's just because you're a good shape." I had so many conversations with him like that. One time we had to go to a batting cage. Same thing. You'll never hit a ball. No, you won't hit it one time. I'll probably hit. I hit it all the time because I practice. Yeah. But anyway, that same night, same ballpark in Trenton, New Jersey, when Sabu shit his pants and did the move the Hardy Boys ripped off of us, where he runs and jumps off my back and puts his ass in Tommy's face, and he's like, "Oh, dude."
Man, that is poetry in motion indeed right there.
Yeah, good times.
Poetry in motion to the extreme.
To the extreme. That is to the extreme.
Even watching that, right? Like, and we talk about like tables and how hard it is to break a table, especially on a moonsault. If you go back and you watch that, because a lot of these videos have played it not only in my mind forever, but like Paul made Sabu even more special that he was, because he had this aura about him. But the moonsault, a lot of times, like, you have to dot through the middle, and if you go on a regular moonsault, you would sometimes bounce off.
Right.
But if you go back and watch that, it's just like, it's violent art, where Sabu is doing a flip, but he's literally putting his hip and his knee with force down to try to break this table, and you never know how a table's going to break. And it's just like Paul slow motioned it, just because like it truly showed like how hard it is. But like, I'm watching that, I'm like, look at his ankle hit, his knee hit, and his hip pointer while he's flipping with speed but also force. Like, that's science. And like, you see like the pain on his face, but it's also like he's doing it because he's like him, and it's just so special. Because you got to understand, like Rob and I like always have like this connection, but like we'll laugh. Like when I saw Sabu do the moonsault, I could still picture it. White thing around his waist, purple pants, green boots. He does the moonsault and he hits the guardrail, and he bounces off. I laugh because like in the back, he's just like, "Oh, I killed myself. Oh, fuck," right? But there's no way that this, like, he could hurt himself, because like I've held his arm together while like he goes out, tapes it, but like it just like we're acting like he just got the wind knocked out of him, but he does a complete flip from the ring, misses to the guardrail, hits his stomach, wipes out on the floor, and just like, "Oh, whoa," and we're laughing, but it's like how fucking tough this guy is. And it's me and Rob's like norm for so long, but like fans, you can't like even comprehend. I would literally say, like, try jumping as hard as you can on steel on your midsection and see how that feels, and bounce off like a basketball, because that's what he did. And you see all these clips of just these amazing moments that this guy did for the business, and why I said he's one of the few real game changers in the industry.
In 1990, when you were in your daddy's nutsack, we were working out in Sabu's backyard. Now, looking back after reading Brian Solomon's book, I understand, that Sheik was having some health issues, and that's why there was a long break shortly after I had joined the school. And I was like, "Hey, what the hell? When are we going to work out again? Am I getting taken here?" And Sabu was like, "Well, we can work out if you don't mind that Sheik's not going to be there. We can still do stuff." And so anyway, during this time, one time when we're in his backyard, Sabu wanted me to stand outside of the ring in the what was grass, in his backyard. And he said, "I want you to just stand there. I want to run against the opposite ropes and dive." I don't know if he was jumping over the top or through them. I think it was over the top. But either way, he wanted me to wait till the very last moment, which no one does anymore, and then move. And then he was going to crash. And I'm like, "Well, then you don't really need me here." He was like, "No," I go, just stand there. I want to make sure I don't push out and like, you know, tuck and put my knees and elbows in and shit. And I was like, so you want me to stand here so you can dive at me, and you want me to move so that you can make sure you stay open and take the fall on your rib? He says, yes, just stand there. I said, no, I'm not gonna fucking do that. It's just stand there. I go, that's stupid. Why are you gonna do that? You're gonna get hurt. And he was like, I just gotta make sure that I don't push out in front of people. If I can do it here, I'll do it in front of people. And just stand there for me. And I was like, all right, but you're stupid. You know, and I stood there and hit the ropes, boom, and I moved. Oh, that's what he wanted.
Really?
Yeah, I did that the entire time that we trained together.
Wow.
Does my audio sound all right? Because I'm hearing feedback.
Yeah, your audio. Tommy, I think, do you have headphones or anything? It might be the phone bouncing back on from Tommy's end. I think it is.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, and also a couple things. One, we see girls all the time now that can't break tables. Speaking of that, I see it all. They don't have enough mass, enough weight. I mean, I see it on Instagram, so they do the bot spots, kind of concentrated.
Right.
But
What's up, guys and gals? Dominic D'Angelo wanted to take a little bit of time to talk to you about Via. Take a look at this. Yes, Via is one of our favorite sponsors that we have on One of a Kind with RVD, and it's for good reason. They have THC gummies, they have CBD gummies, they have flower, lots of different options that you can choose. My personal favorite here is the Elevate. It is THC based, but Pacific Peach is my favorite kind here. What I typically do too is you don't have to take the whole gummy if you don't want to. Boom, I cut them in half, saves me a lot of time, and I feel I get what I need out of just half a gummy. Literally, I do. I feel energized, feel focused. The Elevate does that, but they have other ones that can help you kind of settle down and maybe help you rest a little bit too. I also use the Flow State, which is the CBD version. It almost like keeps you focused too, but just without the THC element in it too. But Elevate is my number one favorite right here. So give it a try, and you guys can try it out soon right now too, basically. All you have to do is use our special promo code. But did want to make mention too, if you haven't tried Via yet, you're seriously missing out. Whether you need to unwind, refocus, or just pretend to have your life together, I got to do that a lot. Via is here to enhance your everyday. And let's be honest, probably your night too. 500,000 happy customers cannot be wrong. Via is changing the game in natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real, effect-driven results, not just fancy packaging and empty promises. Want better sleep, more focus, a little boost in the bedroom? Or maybe you just need to chill out because your stress levels are currently at screaming into a void status. Whatever you need, Via has a solution for you. And here's the best part. Via lets you customize your experience. Whether you're looking for a daily wellness, laser focus, or deep relaxation, aka the kind of chill that makes you one with your couch, Via has it. With products ranging from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, they got options for everyone. We're taking award-winning effect-forward gummies to calming drops, all made with organic, lab-tested hemp from trusted independent American farms. None of that mystery gas station nonsense. And you don't have to jump through hoops to get some weird doctor's note. Via legally ships nationwide discreetly. Because let's be real, your nosy neighbors don't need to know your business. No medical card required. No sketchy parking lot meetups, just straight to your door and worry-free guarantee. Not sure where to start? No worries. Via has a product finder quiz that will hook you up with the perfect match in less than 60 seconds, which, let's be honest, is less than time it takes to decide what to watch on Netflix. So if you're 21 plus, treat yourself to 15% off and get a free gift with your first order with our exclusive code RVD at viahemp.com. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's viahemp.com. So be sure to do that. And again, if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and use code RVD to receive 15% off, free shipping on orders over $100. And like I said, if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. After you purchase the last where you heard about them, please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via, baby.
I see it all the time, and it's like, man, they don't weigh enough to break them. But something about the table that I don't know. People probably won't know this. a lot of people won't know this. I didn't know, but anyway, when I first came to ECW, Sabu was like the #1 indie guy, and he was like really hot in FMW, and I'm pretty soon he was going to New Japan, and since he was the only one doing the tables, if he didn't put someone through a table, if he lost a match, he would bring a table out there, and then he would just moonsault and break through it after the match, and I'd be like, well, why you just do that like after the match is over, whatever? And he said, I'm punishing myself. He said, I'm punishing myself when Sheik's not there to punish me.
Wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
If he lost a match or didn't like his match or whatever he thought warranted the punishment, he would put himself through on purpose and then, sell it because it hurt.
Oh, yeah, right. Jeez. Man, that's wild.
Nah, I mean, honestly, like there's nobody like him in and out of the ring. I mean, Rob, I listened to a lot of the comments that you said, and I fully support all of them because Sabu led his own Sabu ship, and but when we also talk about, I remember the time when he broke his neck, and we freeze framed it on ECW, and then I remember, and I wish I would have asked Taz. Because Taz no, bro, he didn't break his neck. Because he would say, I'm trying to take bumps on the top of my head to make it look good. And Benoit hoisted him up, and he drove down, his body contorted. But I remember him grabbing, but he wrestled literally the next week with a broken neck. And Taz was just no, he's trying to do it for sympathy. And Sabu was I broke my fucking neck. And we're watching it, and there's Paul Slow promote it forever, but it was just no, I know how to take bumps on my head. However, this one didn't work the way I wanted. But he literally wrestled the next day, or even I know Bill Alfonso, when Sabu broke his jaw, he just taped up his fucking face, held his jaw together, finished the match I think I broke my jaw. Fuck.
Yeah, because Stairman was in that match. Was it the Stairway to Hell match? Was that the one where he broke his jaw? I think it was. Yeah. Holy smokes!
Yeah, he was the boy who cried wolf. But I just heard him say in an interview, I think he had 10 days after he broke his neck until he had some time off to chill.
Holy shit! So he kept going, just kept going.
Because he had to go to Japan or something.
Yeah, I remember him going to Japan with the broken neck.
My God.
And he's just I'll be fine. But I mean, listen, there's also parts Rob knows, but the world, respect. You just one video where a clip on your thing, Terry Funk catches him. Now, Terry Funk is probably my age that I am now, and he's hanging with Sabu in his prime.
Isn't that crazy? We'll come back to that.
But Sabu loved Terry Funk, not only because he was Terry Funk, but also the Funks helped out the Sheiks when Sheik was going through, and stuff like that never, Sabu never forgot that stuff. And but then also because in this era, it's, somebody didn't catch somebody, but you watch Terry Funk literally wipe out to catch Sabu. And we would joke that Sabu had pigeon bones because he could always, or he was like a cat, he'd crash, but Sabu's going to get up. Right. Mm-hmm. But just thinking of stuff like that, or even Sabu would be there for all of us if they wanted to die on him. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I mean, and I'll say it because he's here, both Rob and Sabu, never ever difficult and very giving in the ring, especially in ECW. WWE is a different animal, but the creativity, I don't think me and Rob have ever had the same match, nor Sabu, not ever calling it in, but also very, very giving in matches. Next level. I wish, because again, they're both so unique and different, but if you go back, so much of the stuff made sense, to Rob's point. And it's just, it sucks that we're talking about him in past tense, but for me, he lives forever. We all will live forever through YouTube, through stories, through social media, all that stuff. But his legend, and like Rob said, when he started, that guy had the it factor, the aura. Even Bubba said, I was afraid once I saw that I had to wrestle Sabu, and I was 420 pounds, and I'm like, is
420.
this guy gonna like stab me? Like, what is this guy gonna do to me? He goes, and then once we locked up, I realized I've been getting worked all this time.
Yeah.
And by the way, he carried a fucking nail in his boots. And it was for protection. At least that's what he always told me. He said, you just never know when someone's going to fuck with you and try and cross you in the ring or whatever. And it was a spike, a nail, and he would keep it in his boot in matches when he would never bring it out.
Wow. How about that? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You were there, but you weren't in the match, I don't think. I think it was me, Sabu, if it was you, against Josh Alexander, Ethan Page, and I think Michael Elgin at the arena. Were you in that match, or was it Rhino? Do you remember this, Rob, or no?
Who was it? Was at the
It
arena?
was for TNA. It was me, Sabu, and either you or Rhino versus Josh Alexander, Michael Elgin, and Ethan Page.
I don't think it was me.
Okay. I didn't think so. It was either. Anyway, it's the tale of legit two corners of the ring. Josh Alexander and Sabu open up, and they do something, and like Sabu goes to pick his leg. Josh sprawls out because Sabu would just do stuff like that, like unexpected, right? So then they do the next spot, and like he does something, and Sabu starts screaming, "Oh my God, he's a crowbar! He's a crowbar! Oh my God!" Right?
Oh,
So
yeah. There was heat over there, right?
They finished the spot. You were in this match, right?
It sounded familiar, though. I don't know.
I'm looking.
Maybe.
Okay, so anyway,
I think I was.
You are in
Sabu
this
comes to
match.
our corner, and he goes, "Dang in, Dreamer! Fuck, he's a crowbar." I'm like, Sabu, finish your fucking spot. Fuck you, Dreamer. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Oh, he's a fucking crowbar. Fuck you. All right. He goes back in, and now on the other side, because I've had this conversation with them, because earlier in the day I was telling about the spike. And Josh Alexander goes to the corner, and he turns to Ethan Page, and like he's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "What'd you do?" And Josh goes, "I didn't do anything." And then he's like, "Oh my God, is he gonna stab us?" And they're in full panic mode that Sabu is gonna stab them, and Dreamer's talking him down. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dreamer and Sabu are having their normal conversation, but they were terrified. Because, and like he goes, "Oh my God, is he gonna stab us?" And I remember having the ISO camera and watching that. They're like, "What did you do? Why did you make him mad? He's gonna stab us." But that's the aura he also still had in wrestling, that unpredictability stuff.
Yeah.
Man. Well, the thing is too, and like we talked about this a couple times, Rob, and obviously like Sabu obviously being trained by Sheik and knowing the foundation and having that core athletic ability to him. But it's so neat to see him like have that almost chaotic element to him where it seems like he's out of control, but he knows what he's doing all the time, it seems like, at the same time. And it's just like so deliberate and cool. And even Magnum TA picked up on it earlier today when I was doing the show with him. He mentioned how he noticed that about Sabu. It's like he seemed chaotic, but he knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah, and what Tommy was saying about how Sabu would like intentionally, slip up, miss spots in the ring or whatever. When, he instilled that into his training too, and he would articulate it and say, that's you wouldn't be in real life. You can't jump up and land on the top rope 100% of the time. Once in a while, factors are going to be a little different. You're going to slip or whatever, and it just, that makes sense. So sometimes it'd be worked into the match. Boom, you come up, boom, crotch yourself, but then it would go down as a fuck up, and so.
Tommy, how
other times I remember he like placed a chair on you instead of placing it. He would then stomp it on you, and he'd place it gingerly, then stomp you like, oh, and then you're like, oh fuck, he's gonna kill me, and then he'd jump off the top rope with like sometimes, or even like I'm already have a chair on me, and then I'd feel like, how do he has another chair in his hand, and he'd do like the Arabian face buster on a chair on me. That wouldn't hurt, but the stomp would hurt. And then he'd be like, "You okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, why?" And he's just like, "Well, I wanted to make it look like I stomped the chair on you, so instead of you just holding it." And Rob would do that sometimes too. Again, always safe, but like look like he drove it into you as opposed to gingerly placing it on you. And because he'd be like, "Yeah, why wouldn't you just kick out, or why would you just kick the chair off of you?" And I was
Bro,
like,
I hate.
it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it with what makes sense with the new kids rules. I hate it when someone just like sets a chair down and the person like grabs it and then just holds it. And it's like, what are you doing? Are you two kids playing in a backyard or something?
Or you wait for the chair. I mean, you always did it great with the the Van Daminator with
Nobody's perfect.
It's almost like it was a catch. Here's the kick, as opposed to, or I swing, duck. It's right there.
Right.
Listen, it's different times, but we're also paying homage to our friend. I also said this too. I wish everybody in the world had one friend like Rob Van Dam, because Rob Van Dam is a true friend to the end, and loyalty goes a long, long way. Also, the same like Sabu. Sabu, if he loved you, he loved you, and yes, he fought with some of us, but. I mean, honestly, my last words to the guy, like I showed up in Vegas. I wanted to see his last match. I missed it. And he was just like, "Dreamer, what the fuck? What's up?" And then like there was all this chaos, and I tried helping getting his bags. But I was like, "How are you, man?" Like, because I heard all these things, and he was like, "I'm good." And I'm having a great conversation with him. And then he's like, "Dreamer, I love you." I was like, "I love you." I hugged him. And I was like, "That's awesome."
Laryngitis, bro.
It's what?
Did he have laryngitis when you were talking to him?
No, that's kind of how he always spoke, or at least to me. Because there was other times, I mean, we and Jericho talked about it. Like, there was one time he sent me all these like deranged fucking texts, like, and I was like, "Does Sabu not like me anymore? What did I do?" And then when I saw him, and he was just like, "Hey, Dreamer, what's going on?" I was like, "Yo, dude, like, I thought we have heat." He's like, "Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't." I was like, "Okay, can you tell me when we do, please? Because I don't know of this."
I've never heard of you getting heat with anybody, Tommy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Can't imagine. But those of us who knew Sabu know he wasn't someone to read and write very often. When he texts, it'd be broken English, and sometimes it's laughable. A lot of times I'll go, look at this. He'll be like, what doing? I nerd now. That's why it would be like really hard to translate his book anyway. But every time I do one of these interviews, I keep saying it's a shame that Sabu is going to be remembered by that book, by quotes in that book. Like they use it as a reference on podcasts and say, well, even Sabu says right here in his book, and then it goes on. And I got his book right here, Kenny Casanova. I mention this every time. I think Kenny had good intentions. I didn't want to say anything because, Sabu was making money when a book would sell. But I got to say, it sucks that he didn't, his spirit, his true self was not captured at all, his character. And he's going to be held accountable for this because he didn't read it and he approved of it. And so that is on him. But just to prove a point, whoa, this is, did he get wet?
Well, the end of it.
The whole roll doobie got wet.
Oh,
But
no.
this is his book. I'm just going to pick something random. I'm just going to go through it like, how about right here? And I'm just going to read this. And Tommy, you tell me if this sounds like something that Sabu would say or not, okay? Let's see. Yes, I was protective of my gimmick, and I went to Paul to try to protect my thing when Public Enemy started breaking tables. No, I promise you, they will never break tables, Paul said. They already did, I told him. Well, they won't anymore, I can assure you. I knew he was bullshitting me. In fact, when I was not on a show, I've been told that he knew he needed my table breaking gimmick to keep the fans happy. So he would just have the other people break tables. Eventually, I had to just deal with it. I had made tables such a part of ECW that it couldn't just be mine anymore. For a time, people would actually come up to me on a show backstage and ask permission to do table spots. Guys like Dreamer, the Dudleys, Johnny Grunge, they all did. However, after a while, they stopped asking me. Eventually, it got back to Paul that I was mad about watering my trademark spots down, and I think he decided to rib me and try to put a nail in my table coffin altogether. I don't know. Does that sound like some of that sounds a lot more like than I expected?
Watering my trademark, I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
One
that
thing you never say.
there's
Listen,
a lot
dude.
of
Like
embellishment.
when we talk about Sabu, like when I saw the graphic, like Terry Sabu Brunk, I was and like getting anxiety. I'm like, why are they calling him Terry Brunk? Just call him Sabu because of how much like I've called him Terry once in my life. And he's like, my name's Sabu. And I was like, I'm sorry. And
Yeah, that's usually
but, like-
marks that want to pretend that they're close to the wrestlers.
yes.
They'll talk to you with their real names, and I'm always like, who? Like, we don't
Yeah.
use our real names. But by the way,
Sabu.
they call him Terrence everywhere. You
Oof.
know, he wasn't even Terrence, it was Terry. So on top of that, they got that, his birth date, his age, where he was born, everything wrong, and then just regurgitated it everywhere.
There was again when we talk about like different type of person, right? Respect. Like I've said this, Beulah broke her arm. Sabu was in first class. He's like, no, you have to sit here. Like, you're hurt, sit here. And here's Sabu, whose body is always hurt, and Beulah breaks his arm and makes her, because they used to fly to Detroit together because she lived in Michigan at the time, and made sit there. But like I've always seen him like hold doors for women, grab like no, sit here, like get a chair for somebody, like stuff like that. Or even like when Sheik the one time came, Rob wasn't there yet, came to ECW, he was carrying Sheik's bags. And like when you talk about it's like aura meet aura, it was just like holy shit. And we had all these like we're not crazy ECW people yet, but like Sheik walks in with Sabu carrying his bags, and it was like the Godfather walked in, and like people were like, oh, like parting of the seas, like what you see when Japan crowd. But here came like this most revered person. But like, and when I talk about respect, man, like Sabu stayed at my house for like maybe like 4 days once, and my parents' house, and like if I trust for you to come into my parents' house, like, and for me to trust you like that, and it was always just like Mr. and Mrs. Lachlan, and like, and he introduced himself as Sabu too, by the way. That's where I'm, and like my parents like, you have a friend named Sabu? I was like, yes, and that is him. And but like hanging out and like just doing things, like I've also like just like Rob, like one of my favorite moments of my career, me, Paulie, Beulah, Sabu in his Winnebago, and we went to Sheik's house, and I had like lunch with the Sheik, and like just that drive of just like, it's probably like the first time we really were all just like chilling as regular people, and just like what was there, breakfast with Blassie, but I get to have lunch with the Sheik, and it was just like a cool moment. And I have so many great stories and like memories, but always just like a very giving, loving, caring person, and also loving this business like no other, and protecting the business like no other, and protecting his character like no other.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It was just all around, like just what he learned from the Sheik, and how he kind of adapted that into his own life, and like, yeah, how he handled you guys, I'm sure, and you guys know way better than I would about it too. And it's just such a cool thing about Sabu, that like just generous to a T, like we've been talking about so much.
Yeah.
Rob, do you know why he pointed up?
Yeah, I brought that up last week. So when we were in Memphis in 1991, me and Sabu and Dango and Judge Dredd, Sabu and Dredd had a tag match, and Sabu jumped off the top rope, and he jumped really high. I can't remember if it was a leg drop or what he did, splash, but he made it close to the lights that were hanging from the ceiling. And when he landed down, he was doing his thing, looking all over. He looked back and he pointed at it, and then and then he just kept doing that, and on commentary, that was the first time he'd done it. On commentary, they said, I think Sabu hit the lights. He keeps pointing up there. I think he hit the lights. He didn't hit them, but he was pointing at them. And then he said that also he was kind of pointing up, towards God or whatever. And it kind of was just a thought on the spot when, from almost hitting the lights, just kind of like made him do that. And then he just kept, like looking all over, woo, and pointing, whatever he was doing. And I saw something yesterday or today that was like right before that, where he like almost did it, but he points at the guy instead, the guy that he's wrestling. Yeah.
Oh,
Very cool.
How about that?
Or he was raising the ones before they were raising the ones.
Right.
That innovative.
That's it. That is.
I did a deep dive on like people in all of sports who changed the game, right? There would be no tables in wrestling without Sabu. They became commonplace, and like I said, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they changed the rules of the game because he was too tall and dunking on people. So they literally said no more dunks in basketball, right? Then pitcher Bob Gibson, nobody could hit him. So then they lowered the mound because they said he had this unfair advantage. But meanwhile, he was just a super athlete. Mel Blount of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had this rule where you could hit the guy within 5 yards before the wide receiver. He would drop dudes. So then the NFL said, well, we can't have that. We have to change the game. And like, there's few game changers, and Sabu changed the game. Steph Curry, everything's a 3-point game now because he was so good at it. But he changed it. And like, who else has done that in our industry?
Mike Tyson was the first boxer ever to be told you can't bite somebody's ear off.
You're such an idiot.
Great analogy, Rob. I love it. Tommy, you mentioned Terry Funk and how Sabu liked Terry and stuff like that, and I know how close you were with Terry. What did Terry think of Sabu?
Loved him. Terry loved all of us. Like I was blessed to like be super close with him, but I think there's so many people that are super close, and like Terry did more things for like all of us. And again, like I said, he's my age now, hanging with young ECW up and comers, like, and also beating the shit out of everybody. And it's but like he loved Sabu because, I mean, think about it. Again, changing the business. Wrestlers had wrestled for hour Broadways all the time, but this thing called ECW, what really puts it on the map is a 3-way match, which very uncommon in wrestling. I think they had done a handful of them, but then Paul has them go an hour, and like Terry Funk, Shane Douglas, and Sabu go 1 hour, and it literally puts ECW on the map. And you go back and watch that, like it was just seriously like all next level stuff that so ahead of its time. But Terry Funk, and like I say this all the time, Terry would always say, if you don't change and adapt with the business will pass you by. And he got it. Think of having to hang with an in his 20s Sabu doing his Sabu stuff, where, I mean, Sabu was a god in ECW. And like what Rob said, like he was the hottest of hot guy everywhere, to the point where New Japan wants him because he could help draw money for them.
Right. Yeah. Man. Yeah, that's great. Man. Rob, and you kind of had the same thing too when you wrestled Dory Funk too at the Terry Funk retirement thing. It was just like that, he working with somebody like that at the same time. And you were, did you have something too you wanted to say regarding like the age, how like it's like Terry wrestled you guys at that age and you guys are wrestling?
I was just it's amazing, like Tommy pointed out. I too, like when I wrestled Dory Funk at that show, he would have been roughly about my age that I am now. Maybe I might be older. He might have been 53, and I'm 54 now. That's amazing because he was an old man, and I personally don't feel like an old man. I don't mind if younger people want to look at me as that or call me an old man. No offense, whatever. It's weird. It's subjective anyway. It should be based on something, besides just what you feel, I think. But maybe numbers should make it factual, but where lives are extending in the way that 50-year-olds don't look like they used to, and shit, there's 70-year-olds. What's DDP? 64, 65? He's up
like
there.
70. He's like 70.
He's up there. Okay, yeah, with Michael Francis, 20 years older than me. So I guess that's 74. But yeah, there's guys that you can tell are still enjoying life, and it's not like like it used to be. Or for some people, it is. Depends on their lifestyle. It really does.
To be fair, I've also seen Dory Funk recently, and if you look at a picture when Dory won the NWA title, you could say that man is anywhere from 25 to 75 in any picture that he's ever taken.
It's a high range. It's a wide range.
Yeah.
Yo, Rob, we're going to take a quick time out just to say that this week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed. Get Blitzed Lit Aid Nano Infused THC Syrup is a premium cannabis infused syrup formulated with nanotechnology for fast acting effects. And that advanced nanotechnology formulation allows for quicker onset and enhanced potency compared to regular THC syrup. It's Delta 9 and legal in all 50 states, every single one. And you have several syrups to choose from Blue Raz to key lime pie to pina colada to tiger's blood to cherry to grape. Just head to get-blitz.com, use promo code RVD, and get 15% off your whole order. Could be a bottle, could be a bundle, your choice. But yes, head to get-blitz.com, use promo code RVD, and it is by Mickey Ray Sinatra and Courtney. Take a look. Head to get-blitz.com, promo code RVD, get 15% off. It's one of a kind, baby.
Here's a question for both you guys too, that was asked early on. G-Man, New Jersey, $5. He said, Rob, did Sabu share much about growing up in a Lebanese family? Was it a big part of his family's identity or not so much? Tommy, maybe you might.
Yeah, I don't. It was. I don't know to the extent, really. I don't have the insight to say that, like, I've been around him with his family at the same time in their environment enough to judge that. You know what I mean? When it was Sheik and Joyce, not so much at all. But I know, like, when we would go on a road trip, Sabu would pack food for all of us to snack on or whatever, and it would be Lebanese food. It was like grape leaves, and you take a lamb and you roll it up in the grape leaves. I know everyone that knows what I'm talking about. It's something that's really popular. And, yeah, and I believe. Well, I just heard this. I didn't know this before, but I just heard that his favorite dessert was baklava. So that leads me to believe, that probably at home it probably was a part of the local culture, his heritage.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
calling everybody what, Zib?
Yeah, Sheik used to call me Zeb.
Zeb, yep.
And he said it meant prick.
Yep.
That's what he told me. That's what
Because
Sheik.
I had asked Sabu,
That was my
why does he
name.
keep calling me that? Does he not know my name? And he's like, no, it's okay.
It's endearing.
He
It's
says that he
endearing.
likes you or he hates you.
Sheik called you Zeb?
Yeah.
Tommy? That's cool. Okay. Yeah. He
Yes.
always called me that. He'd say, hey, Zeb, come over here a minute. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think he called me that at Sabu's wedding.
That's funny.
That's great.
Listen, man, Bubba had brought it up because I had forgot about it. We all went to Sabu's wedding in Japan. It was an awesome time. And just it was just, and here we are sitting with the Sheik at Sabu's family, and just like, and you see pictures, like I look at all these pictures. I got me, Rob, Sabu. I also say I could not have made it to WrestleMania without them. And like, I was happy we all had that moment. For me personally, anywhere where I had a say, I got Sabu in, just because I knew he also always deliver. And it was just like Rob would always pitch for him too. But Sabu at times was a hard pitch, but when they brought back ECW, it was like, here it is, it's going to happen. And then, always in TNA. I found out he had the first ever barbed wire massacre match in TNA.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, him versus Abyss. I didn't know it was the first ever one.
Holy smokes. Yeah. And that's an underrated feud too that they had. Like
Sabu and Abyss.
Sabu and Abyss.
That's right now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how about that?
But by the way, Tommy, he sure did treat. He told me nice, right? Like he would bring a chair in for her in the dressing room, even there wasn't room for everybody. He taught a lot of that rubbed off on me, and made me want to treat. If I ever had someone in that position of being my wife, like no other. Even if he wasn't quite the same when she wasn't around necessarily all the time, but I don't know if you know or not. By the way, I understand you guys did a good show on Busted Open Radio. It was like the next day, like Monday, like right after Sabu passed. So I was invited, and I said, I would do it, but it ended up being, it was just too early to talk about him, and too early to be out of bed at 8:30 on this time. But I understand you guys did a great show on him. But I don't know if you know or not, but regardless of what you might hear as far as cause of death, it's not released yet because he told me his next of kin, and she's in Japan, and she's being very passive, doesn't really want anything to do with this, it seems. So we are making every effort to try to get her cooperation, and if not, there's a window of time that has to pass, then it will roll over to the next person in position, which is probably Paulina, Sabu's sister, for next of kin. But I don't know if you knew that or not, Tommy, because there's people talking a lot of shit about, they know what killed him. You can't tell them anything different.
That's the unfortunate thing.
To me, I don't care. My friend is gone, somebody that I respected, somebody that I loved, somebody I shared with the ring with, and a really good person. And that's kind of how I look at it. And I mourn death differently. Like when you sent me the text, by the way, it was the best way to text somebody bad news, especially about like Sabu, because it was a perfect text to represent Sabu and what he meant to the both of us. But I cried. It really didn't hit me till I saw the video on WWE. And I was like, man, I'm so happy they paid him that respect, because I don't think he got the respect that he felt for him, because normally it's just a graphic. But this business is, I always tell people, it's the most dysfunctional business you'll ever be in. And I've said this a million times, like Sabu should have been a millionaire because he changed the business, right? And once I saw that graphic, I was really happy that they paid homage to this game changer. And that's when it really sunk to me. I was like, I can't, he was one of those guys, I can't believe he's gone, but I don't view, for me, he will live forever. But also I just feel like, when I die, I'm going to see him and he's going to call me fat ass and fuck you and then hug me. And then we're just going to have a good day. That's kind of how I view stuff like that. And the other day, total different story, but I went to see my sister, and she was wearing, I go, nice mom jeans, and she was like, ha ha ha, but I figured I'd wear them today, and I was like, because of today, and she's like, oh, it's 2 years since mommy died, and I was like, it is, because I don't look at that, I don't celebrate, I don't look at dates, I don't. Never am I like that. I'm just, I celebrate people's lives, and that I was blessed to know Sabu since 1992 and sit ringside for some of the craziest, most innovative things, and then just like how is this man standing from the punishment that he took? And like, just I celebrate the fact that we had him for as long as we did.
For sure. And, you know, speaking of how is this man standing, some of the hype that's been directed in the wrong direction, but just bullshit rumors out there. And everybody, I've seen everyone that does a podcast show talk about this because Joey Janela said it in a post that either he made or an interview that was posted with bad timing. And it says that the day of Sabu's last match, which was 3 weeks before his passing, it said that he wasn't feeling that good that day and he wasn't feeling up for it, you know. And I can see on video that Sabu may not have felt 100%. He might not have been completely secure and confident. He had a very apologetic energy from when he even got in the ring, and I was telling the audience, you know, I'm sorry, you know, my elbows, my knees, you know, forgive me. Like he's doing all this, which is very not like Sabu, but he wasn't forced into it. And one thing that people are jumping off of is that it said in there that he couldn't walk and that his feet were bleeding and that his team actually super glued his feet. And so it's put this image in everybody's head of Frankenstein's monster, you know, just being pieced together just to make it, just to force him to go through this thing. He'd been wanting to in training for this for at least 6 months, maybe 12 months. And we have a documentary. We have all that documented. We have him talking. We have him before the match and after the match. And you people are going to really enjoy it. This is really going to help explain his mythos, his legacy, like what Sabu is all about. You're going to see what he's all about, what his drive is. And something else you're going to see is you're going to see Sabu's feet that morning and actually the super gluing of his feet. And I got to say, in my opinion, I think he needed a pedicure pretty bad.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you know, I that's, you know, I just learned pedicures like maybe last year or so. I mean, I'm kind of like I'm a man's man. No, but I'm not a maintenance kind of guy that does anything. Whatever I do for my looks, it's because Katie wants me, and it's like, cool. If it makes you happy, then yeah, I'll do that. And she talked me into a pedicure one time, and I had no idea how gross my heels were, but they were dry and scaly and gray and thick, like calluses and cracks in them. And I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, like, how are you still with me? And then, but after just like 45 minutes or whatever it was of soaking them and the lady like buffering them, the Asian lady, whatever, I looked at them, they looked like brand new. Like she got rid of everything. To me, when I saw Sabu's feet, it just reminded me of that. My feet at the worst and maybe a little bit worse. What do you think?
Yeah, it looked like dry skin.
Oh, you agree?
Yeah.
Cool.
There we go.
I saw in the documentary.
People are acting like, no. If his feet had to be super glued, then he definitely should have gone right to the hospital. And by the way, good luck getting Sabu to the hospital. It's like trying to give a cat a bath, I guess, or something.
Right.
Like that.
The Sabu, like I said, was the captain of his own ship. When I spoke to him, he was as normal as I'm talking to all three of you now. There was no, I actually said, like, man, you look really good, like physically. And he like fake flexed, and like, then I think he said I'm still fat. And like, but like, that was just our relationship. So I don't ever, Rob, read into all the noise because I I just don't. I don't want that negativity in my life. But also, like, if you're not there, or if you're, and people are going to talk whatever. But yes, he did not pass away after that match. It was 3 weeks later, and it's just like I paid no attention to that noise because that's exactly what it is. It's noise.
Yeah, well, I like to, people expect to get straightened out here from me, and they can, that's
That's cool.
about being credible. So yeah, they even misunderstood because it's not like Joey Janela and or Game Change GCW. It's not like they were even the ones that gave him the creative, and everyone just kind of took what they wanted out of that. And it wasn't like they super glued his feet or like they got him out of bed and said, come on, let's go to wrestling. They got heat for everything unnecessarily. And on top of all that, it was all unnecessary anyway because it's stupid. And I'm glad that we have it all documented. We're going to have to wait to put an ending on it. We want to include, of course, Sabu's ending, which right now is undetermined. It looks like his services are going to be postponed temporarily. And so, hopefully shortly after that, hopefully we'll be able to wrap this movie up and get it out because I don't know, man, hearing Sabu foreshadowing certain things provides closure. I know a lot of people that watch Dark Side of the Ring heard Sabu saying, if you go to the funeral, that's for the people that are living, so you can show them that you love the person that passed. The person that passed, they already know that you love them. They feel it, whether you're at the funeral or not. And hearing him say things like that really hit a lot of us. And for a lot of us, it helped give some closure and helped make some things at least more acceptable than they were before. So this is going to do that too in a much bigger way even.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Tommy, did you see the trailer for the documentary? No? Rob, do you want me to play it?
Let's take a look, dude.
Yeah,
made by Joe Clark, the guy that made Headstrong with RVD.
Nice.
Where I'm at, I'm nowhere.
I miss his voice.
My last few matches or years were bad. And I don't want to leave it like that. So even if I get hurt or die, it'll be worth it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Isn't it? Pretty cool stuff. Man, pretty cool stuff.
Well, last time I saw him was at WrestleCon. The time before that, though, he was over here filming for this documentary. We were training in my gym. And
he was at your party at the Nerd Bar, WrestleMania after party. That was the last time we saw him.
Me too. That was last time I saw him.
This would have been before that. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, since you're being the producer, bringing things up, bring that tweet up that I sent to you earlier too, Dom. But let me explain something first. Let me set this up. This is a tweet that somebody responded to last week's show. We did a great show, had Taz as a guest, and we were talking about Sabu. Maybe my favorite show that we've ever done. And, in the land of accountability, people say whatever they want, just like everyone's talking about Sabu dying. But what we know is that eventually the truth is going to come out. So how can you so bravely say you're sure it's this, or this, when eventually the truth is going to come out and then you're going to look like an asshole? Well, that's the land of unaccountability. That's kids that grow up on social media. And it's even every fight, I'm not going down. I'm the best in the world. You're going to find out because I'm going to knock you out. You're going to be looking at the canvas. Now, when that motherfucker gets knocked out, shouldn't he lose some credibility? But that's just the way that our world is right now. So I have a hard time with that, so I'm going to hold this guy accountable and just talk about his message that he put up there, because he might not know that he's being an asshole, and maybe there's still time for him to change his ways and go down a different path. He might not know. Katie sat with me like this last week. Taz was where Tommy is. Go ahead and show this post.
So here it is.
You couldn't do it without your broad? That's how much he meant to you, huh? So Freddie 2 times might not know that he's an asshole. So I'm just giving you a chance, Freddie, telling you in case you don't have a dad or any guidance or something. So let's look at that. You couldn't do it without your broad? Well, of course. You thought I was forced? Nobody held me at gunpoint and said I had to do it. If that's what you're suggesting, no. But would it be appropriate for me to want my wife's support when I'm talking about my best friend that just died? You don't like that, Freddie? Like, that's basically what you're saying. Why do I have to have my wife next to me to support me when I'm talking for the first time about my best friend that died? Good question, Freddie. Not to mention that Katie, my wife, also is a pro wrestler, also is on this show very often, also knew Sabu very well. In fact, she met Sabu before she met me. So I don't know if you meant to be an asshole. Comes across as, I can see it no other way other than you just being ignorant and being an asshole and maybe a woman hater, because people that use terms like broad usually prefer to be around men. It's kind of a massive, what's the word?
Chauvinistic.
Anyway, so I just wanted to answer your question, Freddie. And you know what? Teach you that there is accountability. And I know a bunch of people went after him already and responded, with telling him what a dumbass he was. But I just, in case he's questioning it, I just want to make sure he knows for sure. Yes, you definitely are a dumbass and asshole. And there you go. There's still time to change.
That's it. And Pump Master Flash adds that Katie is awesome.
Thank you.
He is. I'll double down on that.
And me too. He is. And Jade Thomas Cassidy said Freddie was an incel.
Well, there might be time for Freddie to change.
There might be time. Yeah.
Let's not ban him to hell. Yeah. But also, so also speaking of that, today on Twitter X, somebody said something about marijuana, and they said, I went to high school, or spent all of school listening to people dying on a hill saying that marijuana isn't addictive, but now those same people can't leave their house without getting a buzz. And so, I responded to him and I said, they can't. Do you know what can't means? Like, did you take their weed away and they can't pass the threshold or something of their house? Because maybe they just like it. And then he responded with, well, that's what they tell him. In which case, there's a lot of weak-minded people that blame weed for everything. Obviously, I'm not one to do it. You'll never hear me say I'm too high, That's absolutely joking or being sarcastic. You'll never have me say, oh, I can't do that, dude. I'm too stoned. Like, that's not something that exists in my world. But I just wanted to say, like, his use of can't, I group that in with people basically if they say something like, dude, like, you can't even go 3 minutes without calling your girlfriend. Well, I don't know. I never tried. You know what I mean? Like they're suggesting that you're unable to do something. And really, that's not what they're saying. They're saying, hey, I got different values than you. Guess what? We all have different values. It's the same thing if they say, oh, did you have to do that? Oh my God, did you have to bring her? Did you have to mention that right now? No, I didn't have to. And, I didn't. No, it's a choice. Basically, when somebody says that, they think that they're sounding smart, but they're not. It's just like if they say, oh my God, you got nothing better to do. Well, better by whose choice? Because basically what they're saying in all those, so I'm telling you, don't let people do this to you, because what they're saying basically is, oh, can't you have the same values that I do? And that's so stupid. You be you, let other people be them. I don't care if somebody's like fucking looking at butterflies. If you go up there and say, oh my God, you can't do nothing better with your time than fucking chase around insects. Hey, guess what? If that's what that person that's they got different values. You might want to beat your wife or fucking whatever, dude. We all have different values, and I'm just trying to point that out. They try to sneak it in a conversation and want you to think that they're making sense when they talk to you and say, dude, did you have to do that here? Or you can't even go without that. Just look for those clues so you can say, yeah, I got different values than you.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. I like it, Rob. It's like
a little RVDology for you.
I dig it. The RVDology segment right there, guys.
Appreciate it always.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy. So aspects, obviously you work with so many different talents in TNA and you interact with people on Busted Open and stuff like that. What is something that you really like to convey that younger talent and anybody in the business can really learn from somebody like Sabu?
I mean, this business will always be based upon respect,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a true pioneer of that. And, you know, for the men and women that helped pave the way for others, and also like what Rob also said, the look of wanting to win a match, because at the end of the day, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
And really, like, because if you go back and watch any Sabu match, especially in ECW, where it would be, how do you not say that everything that just happened looked real?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And it always did.
It always did. Always. There was all the wild stuff that went on, but there was always the intention to win the match involved with you and Sabu, Rob, for sure.
People now, like, say they cover an opponent and the opponent kicks out, they'll get up and they'll just walk around the ring because they think they're supposed to. Like, there's no purpose for it at all. Like, are you connecting with the crowd? No, I think I'm just distancing myself so I can go back and pick him up just to punch him. You know, it's like there's a reason for everything, or at least there used to be, and now that's something that, you know, for them, the reason is sometimes just to get to the next thing they have planned.
That's it.
And pull it off.
We'll take some super chats here. Here's a good question for everybody. Maddie asks for $2. Hey, what influence did Sabu's humor have on RVD? But this could go for everybody. What influence did his sense of humor have on you, Rob?
Sabu always had a sense of humor on, and that's the thing that's funny. That's like the dichotomy of Sabu is that he has an intentional, unwelcoming vibe that he puts out. He doesn't want everyone to feel like they could be comfortable enough to go up and put their arm around him. He doesn't want that, you know. But the people he does know, his brothers, he loves that camaraderie. That loves everyone in the same hotel room, hanging out together, spending time together, and that's where you see a sense of humor, and it's everywhere. It's dry, but it's like laughing at say other characters. We spent so much time laughing at Taz way back in ECW, and it was just silly stuff. It was silly stuff, but it was like everything we could find that was like. I care because we were all characters laughing at other characters.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So like we would do Taz's accent, you know, and it would be funny just to say like, brother, that better not be orange. I own orange, brother. You know, we would like laugh for days and silly stuff like that. But man, Sabu and I have so many inside jokes that like nobody will ever get now because they're just gone. You know, Judge Dredd's still around and he'll get a few of them. You know, some of them we've had since 1991, like Brown Finger. That's a joke that only me and Sabu and Judge Dredd would laugh at, and now it's just me and Judge. But yeah, we have like long-standing inside jokes that just never die. We both remember it. Sabu not only does he not like to be alone and likes to have everyone in the hotel and party and be around everybody, when he goes to sleep, which isn't for very long at night, he has to have the TV on.
Yeah.
And and then also he would talk in his sleep. So way back when we were in Memphis, those were some of the first days of me actually like rooming with him and stuff. And we'd have 4 to a room, pull the mattress off the box spring, to separate it, so we all got somewhere to sleep. Once Sabu would fall asleep, we'd turn the volume down or off because it was keeping us up. He needed it to go to sleep, and sometimes he would talk. And I just remember one time, way the fuck back then in 1991, where he's as clear as the day is his day, like he was talking to somebody. He goes, 2 big ones or a big one and a little one. And I have no idea what he was talking about. We thought it was so funny, and he would still remember that, if I said it right now from way back then, because our jokes never died. Where'd Tommy go?
Honored.
Tommy vanished. He vanished.
He's like, it's my bedtime.
It's my bedtime.
He's like, I don't like Rob's joke.
Okay, well, I wanted to say before I have to go, Tommy sent Rob a sweet message, and it said, Katie's not the only one with big boobs and big butt that loves you. Like, talking about himself.
Yeah.
That took me a second to get. That took me a second.
To comfort me.
Yeah, that was a sweet message.
No, what a great. That's a. Oh, Tommy's such a good.
Yeah.
Comes back.
He can just click on that link to come back if he wants.
Yeah, he can just click right. Yep, exactly. RCKX. Thanks for the $10. He says, I feel like maybe Sabu will finally be appreciated even more now that he is gone and get the respect he deserves for being a Maverick. He should have got it while he was with us. Thoughts? Sabu.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree. It seems like he's going to be remembered as, one of the immortals, legends, like Eddie Guerrero, where people are so impacted. They're still telling me at every signing, like, man, I still can't believe Eddie's gone. And that was 20 years ago. Like, how old were you? You can't believe he's gone, but it's just because, we're larger than life when we're on TV in that ring, and you're seeing our characters being showcased, and the impact that it has is like that. It's like only the good die young, right? So you think of Mount Rushmore of celebrities that people will forever worship because they died young, like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis. I don't know, can we throw Bob Marley on there? Did he die young? I think he did.
He got young, like Jimi Hendrix, James Dean. I always think of James Dean in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. All those. Sabu's gonna be like on at least the wrestling version of that. I feel like, because he's, I don't know, he seems, even in physical form, he seems very spiritual. Like, I don't know. I think if anybody could come back from the spirit world to deliver a message, I feel like Sabu would be able to.
The crazy thing is, yesterday with Fonzie and stuff, I don't think you were on yet, but somebody in the chat, I think her name was Chelsea, she mentioned that she saw a cardinal. And have you heard the story about cardinals? Like, if you see a cardinal, it means somebody out there like is thinking from the other side is thinking of you, or shows that is showing love to you. And like Sandman said he saw a cardinal the day Sabu passed. And then I saw a cardinal like that morning too, that Sunday morning, Mother's Day morning too. I was like, and it just made me think about like that. And like Sabu does kind of have that vibe to him, right? Like,
Yeah, so somebody very close to Sabu. Trying to think if this is too personal to share or not, but I'm always fascinated with this topic. And somebody that's very close to Sabu has a little girl that turns out she sees spirits, and it turns out that I think it was the day before that she says that Jeannie was trying to trying to get Sabu, and Sabu was resisting, and then Sabu's mom and uncle were there as well. And this is a little 11-year-old girl saying that she saw this, and she's the one, by the way, that Sabu tested her before and said, because she had said before that Sabu's mom was in the room, and Sabu had tested her and said, what's my favorite dessert? And she said baklava. That's how I came up with that fact anyway, relating to that conversation and that girl. And also she said that Terry Funk was from Texas and was with Sabu, and this is an 11-year-old girl saying these things, and that was after the other, I guess, was before and after. I'm gonna find out more about this, but it's just this kind of stuff is so easy for people to dismiss. It's they're crazy, but it's also fascinating to me.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and it's I think there's really definitely a connection there and stuff. It was neat too, Rob. It was you last week, I think, that said too that Sabu was like a spiritual person and or a religious person. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was a man of faith. He would pray before every match, get down on his knee, and do the Father, Son, Holy Son gimmick, and do the praying. And he had the cross hanging from the mirror when he had a car and would drive us around from shows. And I had several conversations about him, like way back when I was really young and was fascinated with Greek mythology, and I would tell him, but do you know how close the story of Samson is to Jesus or to Hercules, and he'd be like, no, that stuff's not real. That, Samson's in the Bible. Yeah, but he beat an army of 1,000 men with a jawbone of an ass.
Jawbone with a jawbone.
Because his strength was in his hair. But then you're telling me that Hercules, you can't believe? Couldn't it be maybe the same guy? And then I was telling him, that every religion has a Noah. I've always thought that was fascinating.
There's a lot
same
of
stories, different interpretations of a lot of the same stories. Everyone from the Vikings to Indians to Greek mythology to Christians to whatever, they all have a flooding of the planet to get rid of the failed first attempt to make decent people, and then start all over again with the guy, whether he was Deucalion in Greek mythology or Noah in the Bible or whatever. But anyway, enough on that. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
too sidetracked, right? Frankie Chorizo, he asked. Oh no, that's Maddie question. Frankie, I just tuned in. So Dreamer's not here, but if he gets back, we can ask him. But he said, what were Dreamer, RVD, or Sabu up to after ECW died, but before signing with a big company? Also, what ECW chant did you like the most? Rob, was there one that you really appreciated that the Philly fans or whoever may be chanting in ECW?
Oh, the favorite chant. Well, here's what comes to mind first, and there were several. But in between the matches at the ECW arena, this dude would come out with towels and shit, and he would wipe the ropes down and go all the way around the ring, wiping the ropes down. And the whole time he's doing it, the crowd says, clean it up, asshole, clean it up. I always thought that was pretty funny and really captured the spirit of the
everybody.
Yeah,
I like that. But so you didn't have too much of a leap from when ECW ended to you going to WWE, right? There wasn't too much in between for you.
No, they were both 2001. Not a long time in between. A few months.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, yeah. So
have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. And starting now, Blue Chew is offering a combo so strong it'll knock your socks off and your neighbor's socks off. Bam! You'll have to move towns with the amount of noise you'll be making. Blue Chew Max has arrived, and it combines the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one chewable tablet. This combo acts fast and lasts. Guys, be ready when she needs it and get your first month of Blue Chew free. Great sex is a few clicks away. Sign up at bluechew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the US of A and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use promo code RUMOR. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code RUMOR. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. There we go. Trying to make sure. Oh, Seth chimes in.
What up, Seth?
Look at this. Great comment by Seth. Thanks for the $20 too, Seth. He says, no
Katie, we riot.
He said last week was an awesome episode, but there have been a lot of good ones. Good to see Dreamer on the show too. No question tonight. Just ECW forever. Seth, your new song is awesome, by the way. The war song or whatever it is. If you can share it with us, share it in the chat, and I'll plug it for you. But yeah, he's got a good new tune out, Rob. It's really good. I liked it a lot.
Fucking A.
Yeah. I don't know what this means. Ask a bum. All right, bum, you're asking us. Thanks for the $2. Would you fight your arch enemy, Rob Van Dam? Oh, Rob Van Darn.
Yes, and we would fight over values and the importance of censorship and civil rights and the First Amendment, freedom of speech.
There we go.
That's what we would fight over.
Yeah, definitely. The stakes will be high then for that. Stakes are high.
Rob Van Darn would be saying, "You can't swear in public. It's a disorderly conduct." And then I'd say, "Fuck you."
Yeah, I think Rob Van Darn would talk in an English accent too. I think that's what
Darn it.
Darn it. As the bump follows up, what's the pro wrestling scene like in Michigan?
Don't know, dude. I moved out of Michigan. I will always be from Battle Creek, Michigan. When you hear my name announced, I'm always from there. I grew up there. I moved out of there in 90 or 91.
Wow.
So I graduated high school in 89. 1990, I collected my first dozen matches or so, indie shows around the Midwest and Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, collecting, trying to get some ring time together. And then in 91, then I went to USWA, and then everything kind of took off after that. What was the question again? I fucking
what the wrestling scene was like on Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was so long ago. Who knows now? But I remember my first few matches, like being jealous of the guys that had 10 years experience, not realizing they were the shits and they weren't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they wrestle twice a year for 10 years on their own shows or whatever. But being young and green, didn't know that. Was just like, wow, that guy's light years ahead of me. This is like my fourth match. And then when fans wanted my autograph and not theirs, I was like, really?
Hey.
Wow, like I impressed these people with my moves. So they tell me I was their favorite when it's one of my first matches. Like I didn't see that coming until afterwards when it came, and it was amazing. And I remember Joe Bruce saying, "You know what? Fuck it, dog. I'm gonna run my own shows. You know, we got this big ass warehouse. We got the ring. You know, we're just gonna book everyone that wants to work there. Just have fun. You know what I'm talking about, dog? Like I'm gonna ask people like, you know, what their fee is to wrestle, and then like even give them more. You know what I'm saying, dog? Like more than they ask, so everyone's just in a good mood, partying, just doing it the way we want, dog. You know, because he was hungry to get booked and get out there and get ring time, and and it wasn't going fast enough for him. So he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do my own thing." And look at him, he's still doing it.
Still doing it. Still doing it.
Oh, that
And
was
everything else.
that was 89, 90, and now fucking 2025. He's fucking got a full ass schedule where he's fucking keeping that ring and keeping the wrestlers on the road.
Dude, he is too, man. It's awesome. And it's like the fact too that he was able to branch out into, you know, the hip hop industry, but then also like still stay true to his wrestling core. It's just a neat thing for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Jades. Low key, Rob, that is one of your best impressions, I think. I like that one.
That's funny.
I think that was a real good. That one caught me off guard. I like that one. Maddie adds, RVD and Katie are my role model relationship. RVD knows what I'm talking about. Thank you, Zen Sensei. Secret Squirtle. Secret Squirrel. Flex. Noose Funky for the win.
All right. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, it's funny because when I was married to my evil ex, like when I look back at it, I respect all of my efforts as a husband. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a world where everybody was banging each other and had no morals, the world of entertainment and even outside of entertainment, adultery is like, you know, one of the most common breaches in agreement ever made. And I went through that whole thing, even though she was a total bitch sometimes, never trusted me, blamed me for everything, and didn't give me the same respect back at all. I still think I went through the whole thing like as best I could. So I ended up respecting myself in the end. So it was totally worth it. But there were times, you know, where because I was so committed and because I felt like I had the power of knowledge and I had my dad's priority speech, there was times when I would give other people advice and stuff, even knowing that my marriage was kind of the shits, but I felt like it was still solid enough because of my commitment, I guess. It was weird because afterwards, after getting divorced, then I'm like, yeah, remember that time I was talking to Samoa Joe on the beach on RVD TV and telling him how you just got to be committed and make this person your most priority? Like, I kind of got to put my foot in my mouth talking like an expert when my marriage didn't work out at all. But then in the bigger picture, I look at it and I'm like, you know, I mean, all I was doing was preaching my values, and I still have those values. So when I met Katie, I was able to say, "Oh, I got this. Like, I know myself enough to not worry or wonder, you know, if I'm ever gonna be dishonest. Like, I already know I'm not. I already know how much I value honesty and the position that she's in. And right away, she knew she could trust me, and it's never been a problem. And wow, what a difference trust makes in a relationship. Because my evil ex, like, she never like respected my answer to anything. She didn't think that I ever knew what I was talking about, and she damn sure never trusted me and always felt like or treated me like I was hiding some secrets from her or something. So I was complacent and thought, you know, out of my own commitment, I was going to stay complacent and make it work out and just try and keep working on making things better. But I'm so glad now that it went the way that it did, because I'm so much happier now. And so I can say to other people that look up to, like Maddie Marijuana says, me and Katie as a role model couple, dude, you could definitely do a lot worse. Like, we are so happy we don't, and every day we tell each other, like all day long, you know, like we don't fight, we don't treat each other stupid. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I don't care, you know. I could be like, what color is this? And sometimes I do, and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm never colorblind, but I'm wrong about a few things. I'm like, are you sure that shirt's not green and orange? You know, it's just like, no, that's black. But the point is we respect each other, and that was totally missing before. So that's something that's good to go for, good to have, and I wish it upon you all.
Well, Rob, too, the neat thing is like, everybody changes. Like, you as you grow older, you hope you change for the better, and you learn from mistakes and stuff like that. But the neat thing that you kind of did too, and I could tell, is like you kept true to who you were still, nonetheless, despite all that, like it being such a difficult relationship in the grand scheme of it all. And then I could only imagine how much more easier it is now, like being in a relationship that's very positive and proactive that you have with Katie and everything like that. It is a really
it's like I'm being rewarded now for the shit that I was put through before. I mean, that's one way to look at the karma value of life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Frankie Trezo follows up. How did your first match against Sabu in Japan go? First match. And you recall that?
I can't say that I recall the very first one. I started wrestling in Japan in 93, in February of 93, and that was for All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I continued to wrestle for All Japan until 99. Even though I've heard myself say 97 on other interviews, I was wrong. It was 99 when Giant Baba died. And then Sabu, he was at FMW. Then he was in New Japan, which was our competition. Eventually, he came over to All Japan and made my life so much better having a brother there. He taught me so much about surviving in Japan. Like, he taught me, get out of your room. You can find a good place to eat, Japanese barbecue, yakiniku, every night if you're willing to look hard enough, and work out. And you know what, if you're willing to take a cab or whatever, you don't have to miss a workout and a tan. They even have tanning, but you're going to hear a lot of no's. They're going to say no because it's so easy for anybody that speaks another language. You try and talk to them in their language and they don't like it, they just no, sorry, so sorry, go inside. But he taught me, because before that I was just taught stay in your room, try not to spend any money, pack as much shit as you can, and don't ever order any, buy like a can of Coke from a vending machine, or do, I guess, and don't get it out of your refrigerator in your room. Whatever it was shit that eventually I learned to not care about anymore. Eventually I was making enough money to support not caring, but it was, Sabu was like, let's find a yakiniku place. I'm like, in this town? It's like, yeah, there's always one. You just got to know where to ask. And man, all of a sudden, I didn't have to lose 20 pounds every trip that I did over there. Life was better. He was taught me how to use the water heater. There's like a thermos in the room in Japan that's plugged in, and you push down on it to squirt water out to make tea or coffee. And I learned how to open that up and drop cans of food in there so we can make canned food and heat it up in that thing. And man, I loved having him in All Japan with me. And then of course, soon we were a tag team kicking ass together, both brothers. I loved it. And I don't remember if this was the first time that I wrestled him in a singles match. It might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Might not have been. But I don't know. You guys don't care what building I'm in because I'm thinking we're in the Corrigan Hall. I think we are. And anyway, Sabu was my conduit to management at that time. In other words, I'm doing my own thing, stretching. He was the one that talked to the office and then came to me and said, it's me and you tonight. We're on third match, whatever, right? Well, we had our match, and I beat him. And after the match, when we came back, the office was upset. And they came up and they're asking me, why you change? What do you mean? Why you change finish? I don't. What do you mean? I didn't change finish. What are you talking about? No, you go. Why you change finish? Baba-san want to know. You change it. Why you? And I'm like, what's he talking about? So, Sabu was, I did. And he went over there and he says, I changed the finish. It was the right thing to do. So he should have went over. I had no idea. He didn't tell me he was doing that. He told me, we're on third, 10 minutes, you over, whatever it was that he told me. And he made the decision that it was the right time for me because I was I was on that rise and should be getting pushed, and was getting over with the crowd and learning to really pull my craft together. And that's the first match in Japan singles between me and Sabu that I remember for sure.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah. People
That's
talk about him being generous and making other people look good and stuff like that. Well, shit, he went straight up against what the office wanted, and like he always did. He kind of did what his heart told him to do.
that's great. Well, the funny thing is, Sandman yesterday he told the story too of how, like, I think it was the night his brother passed, or the day his brother passed away, or something, or around that time. And Sabu like never lost, basically, in a lot of ways in ECW a lot of the times. But at that time, he was like, "Hey, I want you to go over me that night," and stuff like that. And I don't know, from how Sandman was describing, I don't know if it happened that way, but Sabu's like, "That's the only time I got mad at him because I didn't like all that kind of thing." He explained it. I thought it was a really, really cool thing Sabu did. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's another friend of yours, Rob. A good question asked about it. Alex Constantino, thanks for the $5. How did you enjoy working against Booker T? How did you view his in-ring skills? Booker T, shoot.
Yeah. I loved working with Booker T. We were very good friends in WWE. In fact, we were writing partners a lot of times, and we just got along really good. Really good. Similar vibe, although he had a lot louder mouth and likes to, as you can see when he's on TV, he likes to try and intimidate everyone else into putting him over a lot of times. And like dumb, you hear me? You what I'm saying? Dumb? Like he's a character. We're all characters. But sometimes when you're really good friends, sometimes it's better to wrestle in the ring, and sometimes it's not. Some of my best matches are against people that I either didn't know or even didn't like particularly. But with Booker, I always liked it. Our trust that we had carried over to the ring, and we weren't going to have any issues or think that any potatoes were intentional, which, believe it or not, is or was a pretty big part of the job. A lot of times it's part of every day. And so like in ways like that, not to mention he was a really good wrestler. So we had really good matches.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He was, oh man, I was such a huge Booker T mark back in the WCW days too, when he had the Harlem Heat like flames and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, this guy's fucking badass. So
he did say at one time that I was the worst ever at attempting the spin a Rooney after a match.
Really?
Yeah. Just
I
never looked at it. I never studied it or looked at it, and he called me on the spot like he would do and say, "Come on, man, RVD," getting the whole crowd. I'm like, "No, I can't."
Oh no.
So I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know," and I just tried to spin it around, but I never really watched it or studied. Wait, which leg goes over which leg? And so I just whatever I did didn't work. And he said
I want to see it.
That was pretty ugly, and I agree. I'm not going to argue against that one.
What was uglier, Rob? The stunner you took or the spinner you used?
The stunner, I think, was actually beautiful.
Yeah.
I
like it. Have a couple more super chats here. Oh, Rob, I did want to bring this up. Now, this is kind of sort of maybe breaking news. So I don't know if you saw earlier today, but WWE is pulling out of WrestleMania in New Orleans. They were scheduled to go to New Orleans next year, and they're not doing it this time. Like, this is all sudden because they announced it already and everything like that. New Orleans next year, not happening now. And the report is it might be coming back to Las Vegas again.
Oh, I thought they said overseas.
So Meltzer was reporting initially that the location might be Vegas. Let's see if there's a little update on that. But that That'd be kind of nice, though, going back to Vegas again.
Hey, that's home. So fucking hey, man, this time I won't have a couple of broken feet. I'll make my rounds and make every single appearance they have in Vegas. Every
Hell yeah.
match, every signing, every karaoke contest.
You might be the master of ceremonies for next year.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 42. But yeah,
Interesting, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I read or heard someone say something to do with NXT. That I don't know. No, that was a house show. Probably they were going to do something in Tampa. No, I'm sorry, that was something different. That they moved the show in Tampa, which was connected to the same news, canceling the show in Tampa, and then maybe for 1,700 tickets sold is what they were saying, but also something about the way it would look if they did it at the NXT Performance Center instead. But yeah, I didn't know why, and I still don't know why. Do you?
No, I don't know. No, I'm not sure.
All right.
Like, yeah, something regarding Tampa and NXT. I'm not sure because I don't know. Because NXT that's based out of Orlando, right? Like
yeah, but I mean, as far as WrestleMania and as far as New Orleans goes, are you hearing anything as to why they made this decision to pull out?
No, that's the thing is they pulled out, and apparently now Money in the Bank 2026 is apparently scheduled for New Orleans instead, but it's I don't know where they're going to go for WrestleMania, but the report is from Meltzer, according to him, that Las Vegas is on tap for them again. They must have made really good money then, being in Vegas. So
I would imagine they make money anywhere they go with WrestleMania every year, but I mean, they must not have lost, or they wouldn't be talking about coming back, right?
Right. The house always wins in Vegas, but not against WWE, apparently.
Right. WWE is the house. In your house.
The whole damn house. They should, and I think it's kind of when you have stuff in Vegas too, it does feel like a big event. And so, I mean, like you look at what UFC does and like, geez, Vegas is a hotspot for them to have their big fights and all that stuff. So, I mean, it kind of, if you want to have that reputation, WWE's embracing Vegas like that. That's not a bad move, I don't think.
And is it fact or it's just what they're talking about at this point?
That's just the initial report right now. Nothing's been confirmed, but it does look like they're not going to New Orleans for WrestleMania. That almost looks confirmed because I think even New Orleans reported it.
Well, disappointed fans in New Orleans, I got news for you. OWA's coming July or June? July? Something 14th. One of those J months.
Right, in summer.
Anyway, yeah, no, it can't be June. That's too soon. Fuck. It's gotta be July. But it's gonna be hot as fuck there. But yeah, that's gonna be our third show. Our second coming up next fucking week on the 29th. We'll be in Chicago. So
that's right around the bend.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, gang. Sign up, onlywrestlers.com. Get a fan account on there.
Going like crazy.
I saw Tessa's going to be at that show, too, in Chicago. Not sure who else is on tap, but you guys got a good look. Fonzie, I know, is going to be there, which is great. So, you can't beat it, guys.
Fonzie is good. Yeah, I heard him talk about it, and I was like, is he booked there?
Yeah, he's booked. And, good. Guys, you can vote, too. Oh, man, what a poll is up for this, too. Right now, if you go to onlywrestlers.com and sign up, you can cast your vote and figure out which two of Chicago's own wrestlers will challenge Moose for the TNA X Division title. How about that?
Boom. That's legit.
Yeah, that's a legit poll right there. So, guys and gals, sign up now and go. Chicago Beatdown live. And you can watch it only for $6.95 too, which is great. You just sign up for an account on here on Only Wrestlers, and look at Sabu right there too. Yeah, sign it up.
Oh, Joe was he was like 200 pounds lighter there. Didn't even look like his face. It was good match, guys.
Dude, he's still cooking.
Maybe we'll do the show earlier next week or later, whatever. But I'll,
Good. Yeah, totally.
Thursday happens to fall on May 29th next week.
Did you want to do it on Thursday, or we could do it earlier in the week? It doesn't matter.
I'll be in Chicago, so it's
Shit, that's right. Yeah, so
that's the deal. That's the dealio. If I got my days right,
that's the dilly for sure. Hey, Seth follows up. RVD, you think you can pull off a spinneroonie?
do you think I could pull up? Yes, but I would have to study it. I think if I looked at it for 1 minute, I think if I YouTubed it, Booker T spinneroonie, and I looked at it for 1 minute, I could visualize in my head to the extent to where I could actually feel it, because I'm good at that. That's the way I do matches, and that's the way I do different performances. I can feel throwing my hips forward and then spinning this way, but I really don't know naturally without seeing it first.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. I think you could do it. You're just a natural like athlete, and
For sure, no question about it.
You know? And that's the funny thing too, is like, I see people be like, "Oh, wrestling, I could do that. I could become a wrestler. I could do some of this stuff." And you see people try it out, but then I see the level of like you guys, and just like you're being able to just boom pick up things so much more quicker than other people are. And on top of that too, it's just like that natural athletic. There's certain levels here. And like, some people just aren't as athletic. And so they're on a level here, and you guys are on a different kind of level. It's just neat to see, I think.
True. As I often had to prove to Pee Wee the referee back in
the day. Right. Pee Wee the couple super chats, and then we'll close it on out here. We got Maddie. He asked, what was the first time Sabu and Rob smoked weed together? My best mate and I say 2 bongs make it right. RVD has love for the barbed wire match. Spark him. You remember the first time you smoked with Sabu at all? He wasn't one of the ones that peer pressured you, right?
He wasn't. No. Here's I do. And it's such a non-event that I don't even count it when I think about my life. And when I think about the first time smoking weed, I don't actually count this time, because as fans have heard me explain many times, I was in Jamaica on a wrestling tour for my 21st birthday, and I gave in to peer pressure. Hit it, you fucking prima donna, hit it. Everyone else hit it. Fucking hit it. It's not going to kill you. And I was like, okay. I didn't want to, but I smoked. And I always say that was my first time smoking. And it was, prospectively. And it was definitely the first time getting high.
Mm-hmm.
But not long before that, but say, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months before that ish, I remember one time, see Sabu and Judge Dredd, they liked smoking.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would think it was funny to have me and Dango in the back seat in the car and roll the windows up, and like we'd be like, just because you want to die doesn't mean you should kill us. It ain't funny. Roll the window down. Stop. They'd be laughing and stuff. A big brother kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I lived in Battle Creek, and Sabu lived 45 minutes away, roughly. And I always would drive there to train, whether it was in his yard or in the garage or Sheik's yard or whatever. But I never went there just to hang out or whatever, except one time. Yes. And that's why this is such a well-stocked away memory. I showed up. First off, I'm stupid. I'm 19 years old, right? Well, I would have been 20 unless it was the year before. It might have been the year before, actually, before I actually smoked in Jamaica, because I think maybe I was 19, probably. So anyway, I was in I want a party mood, and I was young and stupid, 19, maybe 20, depending. And I remember I wanted to go to Deja Vu in Lansing. Check that out. I'd never been to that one. I always went to the one in Kalamazoo. That was my place that I snuck into underage all the time. And then one time I wanted to check. I knew there was one in Lansing. I wanted to check it out. I wanted to get fucked up because I was young and stupid. And I remember I went to Sabu's house and told him, and he didn't want to go with me. But I was like, dude, let's get high. Come on, man. And he kept saying, man, quit being stupid. No, man, I want to smoke. I do. Come on, what's wrong? I go, you don't smoke. You go, no, but I want to smoke. If I smoke and then drink, when I get a better buzz, when I get fucked up. And Sabu was like, quit being stupid. You know what I mean? Just and I was like, come on, don't you have any? And he goes, you're being stupid. He goes, you know what? I'm not going to give you any. He goes, but if you want to pull a roach out of my ashtray, then that's on you. But I don't think you should. I think you're stupid. And so I did pull out like a tiny little roach out of his ashtray, and I hit it. And I was like, I don't even know if there was any weed in it. So it was small, and I didn't get anything from it. But I left his house in that fired up mood and went towards the Deja Vu in Lansing. I don't know if I actually made it there. I don't remember the place. I think I made it, but maybe I even changed my mind and went home. I really don't know. But that was the first time that I smoked with Sabu. And I don't even count that as my first time because I didn't get high. I hit, how many times should I hit it? And he's like, you're stupid.
Oh man, that's great. Sabu's awesome. Man, I love Sabu. And speaking of, Sergeant Frosty just gave $2 to say R.I.P. Sabu. Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it. Okay, last super chat here. It is Alex again. Thanks for the $2. Any moves or spots that you refuse to take or do? You might have talked about this before. I can't remember.
I'm sure, a lot of moves are just too stupid for me to do. I remember wrestling, dude, in Australia the first time that I had ever heard of this spot, which I've seen people do it since. Still don't know that I would want to do it. But I had never seen anyone do it, and the guy wants me to be standing in the corner up on the second rope, like I'm, hey, look at, connecting with my crowd. And he wanted to reach under and pull my head between my legs and have me be stuck there. And I was like, what the fuck?
What?
You know the move I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like, so he reaches underneath you, pulls your head, and so you're like almost like in a knot, like yeah.
I'll never forget. I was like, what's keeping me? What's holding me there? And he said, kayfabe. I was like, no, no, we're not doing that, dude.
No, buddy. That shit ain't happening.
And then during our match, somehow I got hit with the leg end tip of a chair right in my eye, and got some gnarly pictures from that trip because my whole eye turned red and was puffy. It was puffy, and it was like like my pupil indented in. It was gross. Think of it like a hot air balloon, and then where like someone is sitting in it and it caves in there. Like that's where my pupil was. It was so gross, and that was just one of those things. I had to super glue where it was cut or whatever, and but that I did go to the hospital and got some medicated eye drops for that one, and Um, actually, well, there's 2 times I can think of in Australia when I got my fucking my eye fucked up, because there was another time when the guardrail went all the way. And the first one, well, anyway, this was a different town, but I remember the next time the guardrail went all the way up to the ring. It was in a smaller building with a stage on one side, and I guess I went up to monkey flip, dude, and he spun me around, maybe drop kicked me, and I bumped back with my leg, still stuck under the second rope. But when I went back, I just hit the guardrail, bam, and busted me open, and I bled so much. And everybody all night was like, you got to get it stitched, man. You got to get it stitched. And like, dude, why does everybody care so much? Like, closed it and super glued it, and let it dry. And now I don't even know if I have a scar there. It's like, I don't know where it was, but one of many, 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 many times that Sabu's super glue operation saved me a lot of time and trouble. And everybody, was just like, come on, man. I mean, that one's bad. You got it. I'm serious, man. You need to get that stitch. But what's the difference,
Yeah. Well, okay. So it was yesterday. Sandman said too that he's like, dude, Sabu brought in super glue to wrestling. Is it true that he was the one that did bring it in?
As far as I know, yeah, he taught everybody. I remember times in ECW when I get busted open, and I was sitting back there getting checked out by the medics. I'm sitting in the chair, and he came back like he was on camera, pushed them away, like put his hands out. Get away from him. He's fine. I got you, Rob. And he was like, "We'll super glue it." And I was like, dude, you can't do that to people in real life,
Man.
Luckily, they weren't real people. No,
Yeah.
they weren't, but they were characters too. Those the ECW medics, they were with us a lot. So luckily they didn't sue over something like that. But yeah, he convinced me right away, and especially because the medics agreed with them. They're like, well, that is like, well, that's basically what we have anyway that we use. If we don't stitch it, we have a glue. If you don't get it inside of the cut, because you're able to squeeze it together with enough excess that you can fold it or at least squeeze it enough to where there's no opening, and you can get that and hold it for fucking 15 seconds while the glue dries. Guess what? You just saved yourself having a needle and thread run through your fucking scalp over and over again.
Yeah, right?
And then you gotta go back and get it taken out too. And why? Hoping you don't scar? It's the same. It's the same chances either way. And because if you close it, then you won't have a scar the more you close it.
That's true too, right?
Yeah.
Man, Sabu should have marketed Sabu super glue.
That would have been awesome.
All right.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That'd been pretty sweet. Cool. Guys, it is pretty sweet too. If you want to, it's been sweet of everybody who donated for the GoFundMe so far and everything.
Super gluing of his feet, by the way, it sounds very much like a Sabu kind of thing. You're thinking, like I was thinking when I first heard it, like, what? Why were his feet bleeding? Like that sounds so weird. So I'm thinking maybe he's got like open cuts. I don't know. Maybe they're getting infected and they're actually like dripping blood or something. And then what is he super gluing then? Is he super gluing his toes together? What is going? Once you finally see it, you're gonna be like, oh my god! Everyone that's running their mouth based on their version of what that is just gonna have to put their foot in their mouth when they see the documentary.
I like that one. Yeah, I know, and it's like, yeah, people just they hear something and then they run with it too, and that's what the fortunate thing about all these podcasts is too. Is like them just
Sabu's reputation took a beating years ago when the promoters from the Rahway, New Jersey show put put him on blast and said that the hotel room had like dog feces and blood all over it. And then it just like everybody picked up on that. And then Sabu was like the worst heel in wrestling. And they must have just been smeared shit all over all the walls and mirrors. And you know what I mean? Like Sabu just laughed at it. That's why he didn't respond to it. And that unfortunately let the rumors grow because he didn't stop it, and sometimes that happens. But he was like, "Why would I?" He didn't care. He thought it was funny and laughed it off. You know, who hasn't had a dog in a hotel room that shit on the carpet? You know, and who hasn't had a little blood on the sheets if they fucking had a barbed wire match the night before? You know,
Right. So if you don't have super glue, you're gonna bleed somewhere, bro. I don't know if you did any of this, Rob, but some people, like after Sabu passed, they like retweet some of his old tweets that he did. And my God,
I haven't seen that. Okay,
but some of them were so fucking funny. Like,
like what?
I'm trying to think of the one that was so.
I did see one where there was something about, I think, Hunter and Stephanie kissing or something. He wrote gross.
Like gross. The one
humor, yeah.
The one
the sense of humor. Like I could just say, "Hey, I got married yesterday." And say, "Ooh, was it gross?" You know, that'd be something like you would say just to try to get a laugh.
The one that cracked me up was Meltzer tweeted something about Riddle is big with young boys. He was like big demographic. And Sabu's like, that sounds awful. I was laughing so hard at that one. Oh shit. Oh, he was funny.
I mentioned last week the end of this Sabu book right here has a list of fuck yous, and I was told that Sabu regretted that was on there, wanted to take it off. I don't know if that's true, and if so, maybe it was already at a stage in print when they couldn't or whatever. But I mean, it's just like a big, you know, what about this guy? What about this guy? And, you know, to you, fuck you to you, and to you, I won't say fuck you, but if I ever got a chance to shit on you, I shall. You know, like weird thing. It's all weird, and it's like Sabu wouldn't have talked like most of that, and mostly. I don't know if that was what the intention was, if that was to drive book sales, because it seems like just a negative finish. If it is at the end, which I don't even know, but I think that's where it's at. But it's just weird.
Yeah, no. I think that's probably what it was, right? Like to try to get sales and get some buzz going.
I guess because he did do some bold tweets, and that's what I'm thinking, trying to connect with. Is you know, he'd get some heat for sometimes saying some things, whether it's rude about someone that's already passed, and he says, so what, he was still an asshole, or sometimes something could come out more racial, and to Sabu, he just thought it was funny or whatever. But there's been stuff like that, so I guess that's how I interpret that page of fuck yous, was that's just supposed to be capturing that Sabu that didn't give a fuck when he was posting that, I guess, to make sales. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's the thing.
But I know he didn't feel strong enough about Jim Cornette to say, I got to mention him in my book. You know?
Yeah, right. Doesn't seem like that would be Sabu's thing.
No.
We did get a couple more super chats. Somebody dropped us $10. Maniac Gabe. In 2023 WrestleMania weekend at the WrestleCon bar, Sabu stopped the Boogeyman from beating up me and my disabled friend. Later on, he kicked with us for over 30 minutes. 5-star human being.
Nice.
How about that? Cool
That's
stuff.
Shame on you, Boogeyman.
You are. He's a scary guy. He almost did that.
Hey, fuck with them in their dreams. If you gotta, don't touch them in real life, bro.
Not in real life. Not at WrestleCon. Don't do it at WrestleCon. Jay Holly, thanks for the $5. RVD should do an episode of yeah, Rob. This is great. Yeah, RVD should do an episode of Legion of Skank. Sabu's episode was fun, and Sandman was on recently. We went to Skank Fest in the Vegas past 2 years. Yeah. Did you see that one that Sabu was on, that podcast, that comedy podcast?
Yeah, it was in Philly, right?
Was it? I don't know if it
Yeah,
was in
I think that's my understanding. But maybe I misunderstood.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, you are right. Because Jay Rhimes, the guy that was on the show last night with Fonzie, he was there with Sabu, and that was in Philly. So you're right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched it because that would be until I saw footage of our documentary. That was the most recent and last footage that we had of Sabu was doing that interview when he came home from Philly, or not when he came home. Do we have when he came? We don't have when he came home from Philly. So that still is, I believe, the most recent footage that we have. There was WrestleCon, and he had his match that week. I believe on the Friday, and then I saw him Saturday. I saw him Sunday. Believe it or not, our last conversation is a text conversation where he says, "Hey, I got to learn only wrestlers," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm off my feet still. Come by any day this week. I'm home." And he said, "All right, I will." And he was going to come by to learn how to operate the only wrestlers. That was the last actual conversation I had with him. But when after WrestleCon, he went to Philly and was booked there the weekend that I was booked at Rhino's show in Michigan. So I think that was let's see, would that have been April 20th was obviously Mania. And then, it was May 3rd. So, yeah. So he went to Philly that weekend and he did that podcast. And then when he came home, only his girlfriend is, I guess, one of the only ones that got to see him. And the day he got back from Philly, he got back on Friday or Saturday. I'm confused about that. He died early Sunday morning, which is basically late Saturday night. So he got back Friday, I think, or Saturday morning. Anyway, he said he wasn't feeling well, and he couldn't hear. And he couldn't hear out of his ears. She was talking to him, and the kids were talking to him, and he couldn't hear. And he said that he thinks he should go to the hospital. For Sabu to say, I think, we should go to the hospital, as you could probably determine from this whole episode and us talking about him, that wasn't something that he was even really, I thought, capable of saying. So he knew something was going on. And in our documentary, we have him up to, I guess, before he goes to Philly. But there's some things in there, too, he talks about where he seems like he knew something was going on. But he was going to go to the hospital, and he was going to go to the grocery store, and then the hospital. And then after the grocery store, they changed their mind, and they went home. And then... then Sabu passed.
Yeah.
So, but he knew, and he couldn't hear, and I don't know. He had some kind of infection under his tongue. There's all kinds of things leading up to it that likely played a role in his health, even though it could have been like a pure accident of a bad combination of medicines or something that finally did him in. Everything's just speculation. But either way, leading up to it, brother wasn't feeling real good, and that's likely part of what went down.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's tough. Somebody that didn't get haven't got talked about a lot, I don't think, is Jeannie and how he felt about Jeannie and his relationship with her. I guess we'll close out with that. what were your thoughts about Jeannie and how his relationship was with her? I know he really loved her a lot.
Yes, he did. And I think that he looked at her and thought about her like he never imagined he would have a girl as good looking and as cool as her ever be interested in him. He was grateful for her. And they fit well. There's certain dominating aspects of Sabu's possibly his Lebanese heritage that she seemed to like fit into. And he like in the ring, he like boss her around sometimes, but then also he liked to have a certain amount of control over her out of the ring. And they just seemed like they were really good for each other, even though they would fight a lot in order to try to make their relationship work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was a lot of drama in it. I think it paid off for both of them. So even when I wasn't around it, sometimes Jeannie would kind of push me away. I was fine with it because I knew that Sabu had her, and so I was happy that he had her and that they had each other. And so for sometimes I would back away because we didn't necessarily get along with her all the time either. And I was so glad that Sabu had her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when she passed, wow, he had to find her. He had to find her. She was breathing, and then she wasn't, and that traumatized him so much. He never got over it. It put him in a big depression for a long time. In that he was starting to get over, like he was starting to be himself. He was back to having fun, enjoying life. He had a girlfriend that he was. I'm hearing a lot from her now about how good their relationship was, because a lot of that I didn't get to catch up with him on, because a lot of that was so recent, just the last few weeks, as far as them really getting to know each other. And Sabu was already, he'd moved in there and was loved her kids and was, playing with them, taking care of them and all this. And had something really, sounds like something really good going there. That unfortunately they everyone there suffered a big loss from the kids to the girlfriend as well, even if they didn't know him as well. To have him ripped out of their life, he was a huge part. And I don't know if everyone's going to give her credit because they didn't know her as much. But back to Jeannie, he just didn't seem like he wanted to die, but he didn't seem like he was ready to even leave his place and even go outside for the longest time after Jeannie passed. Like he just didn't. It took him a long time till he was even ready to socialize or even be outside or whatever. And I felt really bad for him because I understood, and now he left me and I'm kind of there.
Yeah. You got to get Katie though too, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I keep dropping my fucking doobie.
Dang, I know.
Yeah, if I'm Kratom from taking it last week.
Oh, really? How about that?
There it is. Okay. Yeah, no one's really. I saw a couple people talk about that, but when it comes to Kratom, I don't see any of the other people that are, that are wrestlers or that are doing their podcasts talking about the fact that I took 8 times the recommended dosage. I didn't even feel it.
Right.
I know I didn't. I know I didn't act any different, so I didn't even have to ask. But anybody that was watching last week, 8 times the recommended dosage. I said, set your watches. Tell me when I start acting like I'm on heroin. But truthfully, I didn't feel it at all, and I know that it didn't change the way that I act. So I don't. I was trying to make a point, and I know some people got it, but not everybody gets that point. I mean, what do you say to that when you're claiming that it's like so dangerous because you read that somewhere? And let me tell you, if you just find something, literature somewhere that says something, that doesn't count as evidence. You can find something that says anything and then find something that contradicts it.
Absolutely.
That's a stupid way to debate or argue.
Right. It is. Everybody should just kind of figure out their own research and what their body is attuned to and what it isn't attuned to. Sometimes things work and sometimes they, your body reacts differently. So it's just anything.
This is Penta and his brother
Ray Phoenix.
I was thinking I didn't recognize them and I didn't remember this match, but this was
dude, whoa.
Yeah, so this was my first TNA match. It was a standalone that I just got booked at way after my first contract. I was there 2010 to 2013.
Yeah.
And then like in 2020, I think or 19, this match happened. It was just a booking, but then it led to my next run in TNA.
Holy shit. I didn't even know you guys teamed up and fought the Lucha Brothers. That's awesome. Dang.
Yeah, fuck. I never seen this match, that's for sure.
Oh damn. I'm gonna have to check that baby out.
Where's that outfit? Do I still have that? Yeah, and they're both so good, by the way. The Ray Phoenix, the shit that he pulls off, that I've seen anyway, amazing, fucking crazy shit. And and some of his moves, I'm like, man, I wish I would have thought of that first. I was like, nah, I couldn't fucking do that.
Well, and Penta, they've been presenting him really well in WWE too. His entrance,
right, pushing the hell out of him, right?
The hell out of him. It's good stuff.
Well, I know the fans love him.
Absolutely.
He's
all right, Rob.
Yeah, he's been over since that what was the one in LA they were doing with
Underground?
Thank you. He's been over since then, right?
Yeah. And he was awesome on that too, from what I remember. It was just like that presentation of that whole show was sweet, just like kind of cinematic and the darkness of it all. It'd been neat to see you in the mix on that too. I know Brian Cage was a part of it and Willie Mack. Yeah, which was neat.
Yeah, I didn't know that the whoa. I didn't know that the one dude, what's his name? Damn it. I know the dude's name. I'm just right now. I got something covering him, but he's a really big dude. I see him on the California Indies a lot, working with Brian Cage, and I didn't know he was the dude under the mask in Lucha. They give him the big swinging side slam. It's Brett Cobb. Thank you.
Jeff Cobb.
Brett Cobb. I went to high school with. Jeff Cobb is the progress.
Jeff Cobb just showed up in WWE too. He just made
that's what I saw, and. Yeah, I was just when we were talking about Lucha Underground, I didn't know that was him under the mask.
Yeah, he's fucking great.
Yeah.
He's got the Rhino build.
Boom! There goes a move I wish I would have thought of. Springboard fucking spinning back kick in the corner. That's badass.
That's sweet. I know Lucha rock.
Yeah.
Watch out.
All right, man. Well, another. But I liked having the Sabu song at the beginning, but. Somewhere along the lines, we missed out on Bobby.
We did. I know. I gotta re-grab that clip, I think, and put it in there.
Should have asked Tommy if he had a Bobby Fulton story.
We could have. Do you think Tommy does?
I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Bobby. I'm sure he misses.
People do. Probably so. Shout out to Bad Business, Bobby. Cool, dude. Good show. Appreciate it.
Good show, guys. Yes, peace on earth. Goodwill towards all men, too, as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to everybody, all our regulars. and all the new people coming in. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to like, share, subscribe, rvdtv.com, RVD's YouTube channel, and obviously sign up too for onlywrestlers.com and get your account there. Get ready for that big show, May 29th in Chicago. So, Rob, we'll do this next week, touch base again, and yes, fun stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a new feature that we'll talk about next week. A new feature for the platform of Only Wrestlers. That's pretty cool, but I got to set mine up before I start talking about it.
Hell yeah! All right,
exciting stuff, bro. I don't know.
Hey, is it? Did you get trash taken out? It's trash night.
Hey, thank you. I saw that on the comments a while ago.
Earlier on too. Devon, get the trash.
Yes, she's been in charge of that since I've been off my feet, but I'm back on. I'm walking around now, and fucking, it's so nice to, yeah. You know, the doctors don't think I'm supposed to. Yeah, they don't know shit. I decided that. Went the Sabu route, so cancel all the appointments. Let me just do my own thing, and it's really working out for me. Just like I should have figured it would anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
yeah.
Sweet.
Last night, what else was there? There was something I was gonna say. Was it about chat? Was it important? Let's see. It wasn't Jeff Cobb. Oh, you know what? Here's what I was just thinking. You know, yesterday I was on Fonzie's show. And we mentioned this on Fonzie's show. He mentioned it. So I just thought, might as well mention it on my show too. Just real quick, just 60 seconds. You know, I've seen the talking heads talking about Kratom. They don't know what they're talking about. One of them, you know, Dutch Mantel, he's talking like he knows what it is, and it's a very, very bad drug. It's worse than heroin. And then afterwards, you know, he's like, I don't know if you smoke it, it's an anal depository, or if you sniff it. And then it's like, well, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Vince Russo did the same thing, you know, saying, bro, the FDA, bro, won't even, bro, approve it, bro. Like, bro, how dangerous it have to be, bro, for the FDA to not, bro, approve it, bro. And then he's like, what do you call it? Crayola Crayon, Kramer, and E3, whatever, dude, is just agreeing with him, you know, saying like, yeah, it's, you know, who's to say what's, you know, he knows people, friends that have been on heroin, addicted, they got off it because of Kratom, a plant in the coffee plant family. And instead of just acknowledging that that's good and stopping there, he's like, but then who's to say like what's worse between opiates and Kratom? Dude, I'll tell you what's worse, the opiates. And then, you know, and then like it's Kratom, and then Vince Russo, the expert, is like, oh, okay, Kramer versus Kramer. Gotcha. It's a Kramer from Seinfeld, and it's horrible. Trust me, bro. I know, bro. Nobody knows. It would be like Dutch Mantel and Vince Russo listening to somebody talk about wrestling to them that doesn't know the difference between a suplex and a Boston Crab.
Yeah.
That's how they come across, because I know about it. I've been taking it for years. Kratom is a plant. It's called Mitrogena or Mitrogena, if you'd rather. And it is a dried up leaf from a plant that's in the coffee plant family that the FDA doesn't have control over. It's not a controlled substance, and it helps a lot of people get off of controlled substances. It helps a lot of people, regardless of if they're hooked on other drugs. It helps with sleep, with anxiety, with pain. Some people get high off of it. I can tell you, I never get high off of it. So I can tell you, not everyone's going to get high off of it. I know that for a fact. So anyway, I just wanted to take a minute and tell my listeners, in case they didn't listen to Fonzie's podcast, and don't want them missing out on that little tidbit.
Yes. Rob cleared the air on all that stuff yesterday, and definitely, adhere to him more than you adhere to Vince Russo about the Kratom for sure.
It would seriously be like them listening to somebody talking about pro wrestling and then saying, Supplé. I think this is called a supplé.
Play right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous stuff. Well, cool, Rob. This has been great. Always nice to talk about Sabu. Thank you to Tommy Dreamer for joining us too earlier tonight, which was fun, and Katie as well. We'll do it again next week. Here on One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam.
Thanks, Van Dam fam. Thanks, Dom. See you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Boom.
Thanks, Sabu.
Thanks, Sabu.